babe.
Hi, babe.
Thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be
You're
here.
my security blanket.
Yep,
I
I'm here.
tried what 5 months of this new gig without you. I'm tangled in my headphones. 5 months of this new gig by myself and with my girlfriends. I've had the nicest time, but it was time to bring you in.
Well, thank you for having me on. This is a little bit different for sure,
Yeah,
but I'm glad to be here.
you've never been in front of these mics without holding the
I
notes.
know, with zero prep.
And without yes, does that feel
Yeah,
weird?
yeah, and I'm a little nervous what you're going to ask
Are
me.
you?
Yeah,
You shouldn't be because, I wouldn't do that to you, but you kind of came in on 2 wheels. I really appreciate that, and then needed to eat, which when I get in the zone, I don't need food. Food kinda
no,
just messes up my vibe. I need that later. We're recording on a Friday night. I need a good meal and something a meal to look forward to. Like we're going to record and then I need to look forward to a meal and a good show and my babe. So
yeah,
you are the opposite though,
yeah.
cuz you came in and you were like, I need to eat.
I'm ready to eat now.
But you didn't get to eat last night also,
That's
and
correct.
you were looking at night number 2
Yep,
tonight
yep.
because of that yahoo that is sleeping on the couch over there.
Yeah, he pulled a little disappearing act on us. Snuck out the door and we didn't even know it.
Yeah, his first one. So where did it start? We don't know when he got out.
No,
He's an absolute indoor cat. I need to back up and say he is the absolute light of our lives. We would take a bullet for him. I would.
yeah, maybe not so much.
And he is a teetotal asshole.
Yeah,
Like, we would take a bullet for him, and he would probably be the one pulling the trigger, would you say?
yeah, that's a pretty good description of it.
And so it's just such a weird, like, abusive
Yeah.
relationship, and the more he doesn't need us, the more I love him. Maybe we should talk to my therapist about that, but so yesterday around 11:45, I called Jay and I had crossed our creek crossing and I had crossed following an animal that I did not recognize. And I remember telling Jay it was like a baby it was like a little bobcat low to the ground, almost like Tommy, but Tommy's inside.
Right.
And Jay was like, it could have been a bobcat. We've had bobcats around. And so we go the whole rest of the day. Dusty and I actually finished the siding on the storm damage. You guys will be so happy to hear because I'm happy to say. And then Cash is having some friends over tomorrow. So we were working outside on the party barn and I was mowing. Lily calls, our oldest. She had come and dropped some stuff from school. And she said, hey, because I don't know if I told you guys, but we lost a dog a couple of weeks ago, one of our other family members. So things are kind of fresh around here. And she calls and she says, hey, I didn't see Tommy anywhere in the house. Do you have something to tell me? And I was like, what do you mean? And
No.
she said, I looked all in all of his hiding spots. Well, we had Hart's dog, Rafa. And so Jay's like, oh no, it's just Rafa. Rafa's there. Tommy's hiding. Our cat's hiding from the dog because he's a visitor,
Yeah.
kind of. Anytime we have a visitor, just like y'all's cats, our cat goes MIA. So I said, oh no, Lily, he's just hiding somewhere. Well, she's like, I don't think so. I looked everywhere. And Lily honestly saved his life.
Yeah.
Because we would have just honestly probably chalked it up to Rafa and gone to bed.
Yeah, and that is his
Yeah.
favorite person, so he would have come to her.
Oh, Tommy,
Yeah.
he loves Lily. He loves Henley.
Yeah.
He kind of likes everybody, but he kind of likes everybody but me. But I think I love him the most.
Yeah.
So it's just so adverse. But so Jay was like, do you want to get in the razor and we'll go to the spot where I saw the animal go into the woods? And I said, yeah. Well, we've had so much rain that our creek is rushing. So I can't hear a cat meow. A cat I wouldn't think could hear me calling. And Cash, you can tell our little boy, he's like beside himself. We've lost a dog a couple of weeks ago. He lost a hamster yesterday. And
Bad
now
timing.
and now we're looking for a cat. Like Cash's posture was the most defeating thing to me.
Yeah.
So we drive kind of the edge of the woods, and he would turn the engine off, and I would call for his name's Tommy Buns, but we call him Kiki. And so I would just call for Kiki, and we just could not find him. And so we come inside, and I try to make dinner, and I was like, I just don't think I can go to bed. We have kids coming home from college that are expecting to spend a summer with their cat,
Yeah.
and that's the day our cat decides to hit the road, and our cat doesn't even go outside. And so anyways, I get the boys settled. Cash and Jay were here. I get them settled, and I'm like, I'm just going to go in the woods and just kind of call for him. So I went outside, and I had a little cup of food and a flashlight, and I stand on the edge of the woods, and it's pitch black. From where I was standing, you really couldn't hear the creek because it's a little further, and it doesn't rush right there. It just
Yeah.
kind of
It's a lot
flows.
deeper.
Just flows, yeah. And you kept saying he might be on the other side of that and he can't cross it. And so I just stand, I'm staring at pitch black woods. I had turned my flashlight off, and I'm in the dark of night. And I just shake the food and I go, Kiki. And you just hear, like, this is after hours and hours and hours, and you just hear, Mom. And it just echoes across the creek, across the woods. I had immediate tears.
Yeah.
And so I called Jay, and, a search ensued where he would not talk to us anymore. So we're looking for him. And I was like, there's no way he would just run away, but why would he run away? And he wouldn't he wouldn't let us know anymore where he was. And finally, after about 30 minutes, he started meowing and he didn't stop. And so Cash and I kind of broke through some brush and got to the sound of him. We could not find him, and he was above us in a tree. So he had come and planted. Y'all need to know we have dogs. So there were dogs between him and his home inside.
Too scared to come back.
Yes, and so you went to bed without supper, but your cat was
Yeah,
inside.
thank goodness.
I've never been happier
Yeah, y'all were pretty excited.
and now he's like, been some trauma. I don't know what happened out in them woods, but he's not the same cat.
Yeah, he's had several traumas over the last couple of months.
He
so.
has seen some things, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Henley is like his main person, and he called from school when we found him, and I was just like, I'm so glad we don't have to tell him that he's still missing. It was just awful, but I cannot even I can't even express to you being in the dark of night and just calling into the dark and hearing that meow echo back. It was one of the neatest.
Yeah, I didn't really think you were going to find him, so I was glad when you
No.
called.
Well, when he ran into the woods, where he ran into the woods, you told me he would stay in motion. So my head had him a town away.
Yeah.
And I didn't have in my head that he would have turned back and came back to the house,
Yeah, he was trying to get back.
Yeah. So I had to tell you guys about that because it was so touch and go for us. And it was like, I don't know. It was everybody was texting like, how's it going? What y'all doing? I was like, we've been in the woods for like 2 hours. But I was thinking today on what I thought I would like to talk to you about, because you and I always have like the nicest conversations we tell on our other podcast, but we have a double shower head, and we'll get in and just talk about love and life and God and the universe and politics, and that's when we do our best
Right.
discussing.
Sometimes in the church pew.
Sometimes we have a church pew on our porch.
Yep.
And we like to sit out there
Yeah,
and
one or the other.
watch a storm and talk. And y'all know that I was finishing this rent house, and in doing so, felt honestly like I had told y'all the turning of a page. And in turning of the page brought the question, what will come next? And so Jay and I just needed Jay to kind of tell me what's next because he's really wise and sees things a lot differently than me, especially in business and in life. And honestly, they say for you to look for someone that's kind of doing it, has found their passion and is working that passion every day, and then kind of either model them or learn from them. And so to have my model in my home is nice. And so you and I kind of sat and put our heads together. And what's hard for me is you've given me everything. So, and I thank you. And I don't ever mean to make that sound negative, but sometimes it's so vast that, we both kind of want to help each other to
Right.
make this world you're saying world our oyster? Why is that the saying?
I don't know.
Make this world our oyster? That's
So-
not right, is it?
Something like that.
Well, just grab this world by the horns and get all the goody out of it. We promote each other to do that. And in doing so, I don't want to ever dream too small, I want to dream big, and I'm in this situation where we're older. We've done the things that we need to do to be in this position. And so if I wanted to go big in this next season of life, I could.
Sure.
And that feels like a lot.
It does. I think that conversation that we've had it several times, but it's always escalated just a little bit more as far as what you're doing and what you're adding to. And I think that's the push you need. I don't know when the next one is or what the next one involves. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
And so there'll be another step.
There will be.
Yep.
And I think we thought this flip house would turn into uh occupation.
Yeah.
And so when it didn't, it kind of sent us back.
I had to reset.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you started on a doozy of a flip house. Like you went to the extreme instead of starting with the easy.
Yeah.
And might have ended that career a little prematurely.
Yeah. I feel like I have about 5 hours of work left in this 2-year process. And when I finish, I'm going to light a match and burn it to the ground. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to fix the storm damage. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to say a little prayer, maybe put on one of my favorite songs, and then I'm going to burn it to the ground.
That's good to know. I didn't know that was your plan at the end.
My friend, it wasn't till now.
Yeah.
My friend was like, I hope you have good insurance. I was like, I don't know anything about that, but this thing.
I am proud of you because you've told me about 6 times you're not going back, and it sounds like you're going back for the 7th. So.
What do you mean?
Well, you've told me I'm not going back over there, and you just keep going, so you're going to get it done
Do y'all
one way or
know
the
what's
other.
so weird is we can go on trips. He and I can go on walks. I can go do my workouts. But if I go to that house and do anything, I come back and my back is out. Yeah. And I don't think it's physical. I really don't. I think that there is something emotional about
tension.
Yeah, like I am just done. Like I'm done. And I told y'all in the other episode, I feel like I'm renovating the renovations because it's been so long. Stuff has aged and that house is living and I'm trying to like choke it out, But do buy it.
Yeah.
Do buy the home.
We would appreciate that.
No, it just does look so good. Like I walked through it today and I'm so proud, but I've never been so done with something in like if it was you, honey, that I was done with, you would be in so much trouble.
I mean, I am proud of you the way it looks and what you've done. And that's the hard part of you not ever wanting to do it again because you did kind of kill it. So.
Well, and now the grass is growing and you can't stay on top of the grass. And you sent one of your guys to spray the whole property today.
Yeah.
And I was like, gosh, I like that fella so much. My love language is acts of
Yeah.
service. So whenever he sends anyone, because he really doesn't have anything to do with that
No,
property.
I think I've
It's
worked over there about 3 times.
Yeah, it's been a absolute hands-off process for him,
Yeah,
which is really astute for you to have empathy for how done I am, because you wouldn't feel done because you haven't been over there, but you know how to.
sure.
Yeah, and you know me.
Yeah,
But anytime he does do the other day, he sent a dump truck over there for me to empty the garage, and I was, here comes little Yahoo. And I was just so thankful that you sent that dump trailer, but yeah, we sat on that church view and we just kind of went over every different facet. And I was like, I just don't want to dream too small, because I feel like I honestly could tell you. It's one of my favorite places in town. It was in Denison and it was called Loose Wheels. Ah, baby. And it was like a bar and a grill. And on Saturday, it was a whole outdoor patio eating. On Saturdays, they would have like yoga on the patio. And we did a few mud runs there. It was just kind of like he just wants to sit with you.
dug those claws in.
It was just kind of like an all inclusive type thing. And I feel like I could tell you, I'd like to buy some property and build one of those, and I feel like you would be like, "Get after it, girl." And so when you're given that much opportunity or space to stretch your legs, I feel like I don't feel like I have the capacity to dream that big. And this one life that we have, it's almost like when you're on one of the latter days of your vacation, you're like, I didn't do enough. I feel that. I feel like I'm 44 and I'm like, I should have already figured this out. And I feel like I didn't do everything I wanted to do. And I'm having some anxiety about that. And it's a really good problem to have. But either way, he and I just kind of sat and, you were just such a real one. You were like, I've thought about it all day. And we sat out there outside and talked about it, and we kind of came back. We just kept coming back to my online stuff.
Yeah,
And that's something I really enjoy, is interacting with people and having God cross our paths, and the community that we can find there, people that are listening and reach out and
right.
say they resonated. Um, and so I was telling you, like my degrees in kines, and I love health and wellness and fitness. And I was telling you that I really would like to see where that could go. Because sometimes, like a video of something we're doing will go viral, and it feels a little, and then not, just kind of the same questions over and over.
Right.
It doesn't really light my heart on fire. It gets kind of old, but the fitness stuff, it just seems like that's interesting to me.
Right.
We left that meeting, and the next morning I went and worked out, and I realized, the first thing is I realized I was in the same shorts as when I started. And so I was like, that might be a neat time to do like a little progress video. So I looked at my phone to see if I had any videos from that first day.
Right.
And I was doing these standing marches. And I was like, I could just do like a standing march and just stream it together and do a progress video. And this is, mind you, the day after we had our conversation.
Yeah.
And I've never had a video go big on more than one platform. Usually it'll just kind of flop on one or the other if it goes big. But it went to 3.2 million on TikTok, and it went to 2.1 million on Instagram at the same time. And almost as if God was confirming.
That's pretty wild.
He's so charming. Like, it was almost like he was confirming what we had talked about
Yeah.
that night before. So that's been like interesting, and
Well, and
just
even to the
sweet.
point of that, knowing that fitness is your passion and really
Yeah.
what you want to do, and something to motivate you to continue to do your workouts,
Yes.
and then for it to couple together with social media, and those two things form together to have that one go that viral's pretty wild.
Well, even my grandmother passed away, so we were in Missouri for a week, and then Cam, my best friend, turned 40, so we were in Colorado for the weekend. So we were gone for like 8 days. So I came back to continue the workout, and it ate my lunch. I was like, this was so easy before we left.
Yeah.
I had thought about the whole reason I was doing it is because it was easy. And I wondered, could you get results that you're looking for in your body while doing these body weight movements and Pilates arms and core, standing core movements that I've been seeing all over TikTok? My whole hypothesis was, or my theory was, that I could do what I wanted to do while doing movements that I really enjoy. And I kind of wanted to just prove myself, but I didn't want to start doing like the burpees
Right.
and the heavy weighted squats and the CrossFit. I didn't want to jump back into that until I disproved that I could get where I was going with
Right.
all of this nice, lovely. Because I really do have such a hunch that it's just more about the consistency. And so I've done this same little workout every day for like, a month or two. And I've just really enjoyed seeing the progress, the little transition that went viral. I didn't even know you would see progress in the second video. And it's insane. Like, I was like, I wonder if you can tell. And I was like, holy cow. So there is just something so important to like videoing, because the whole body dysmorphia thing is insane.
Yeah.
So, but switching gears, there is something that I don't know. I was just thinking about sitting to these mics, and there is something so healing to sitting to these mics with you. When we were recording our other show regularly, something that was so healing is when I would go to my therapist, he'd be like, "What's got your goat? Like, what's got you today? What's mainly on your mind?" And so we would talk through that. And I feel like that's something that you and I did
Right.
on the mics, is we just kind of brought back our most recent struggle, and we kind of worked it like
Yeah.
gameplays,
Rehashed it and figured
Yeah.
it out. Yep.
Yeah. And I think that's something that was really healthy for us. And so I was trying to think lately, what is something that I would like to talk to you about? And it's honestly not something that's got me, because I feel like I'm pretty grown and have some good tools. It's something that has grabbed me, and the grab has confused me. And so I wondered if you would allow me to trauma dump it on you.
Absolutely.
You would? You're good?
Yeah. We're not
Okay.
sitting on the church pew in the shower, but I'll do my best.
We're on the
Okay.
mics. Church pew, shower, mics.
Okay.
We should add to that list, huh?
Yep.
Okay. So Brene Brown, she's one of my favorites, and she says, if we can share our story with someone who responds with empathy and understanding, shame can't survive. And so I thought, why don't I take something that has caused a good bit of shame in the past couple of years and bring it to you and see how you would respond.
Okay.
Okay. Luckily, you were present at this event.
Okay.
A year ago, we had the Harlem Wizards, or like the Harlem Globetrotters. We had them come to our school. Backing up, I played basketball from like fourth grade through college. And so the Harlem Wizards were coming to our school, and they were going to play our teachers. Well, there didn't seem to be a lot of teachers sign up for the teacher team. So one of my girlfriends had reached out to we had played every Tuesday night for like a few years ago. So she knew who could play ball. So she texted that thread like, hey, can anyone come play? So we go, and there's such a great energy. The crowd the stands are full of kids. There's such a good turnout.
Yep.
Kids and their parents. Jay was there. My kids were there. And that was one thing, is I just never got to play for my kids.
Yep.
And so I just really wanted to. So we warm up for like, I swear, an hour, and there's 20 of us. And for some, not to brag, but for some reason, my three is dialed in. And so I could just toss up this three and it would go in. And I was like, thank God something is dialed
Yeah.
in, after all these years. Cause I don't, with my back, it's not feeling all great with the movements and
Right.
stuff. But for some reason, the three was there. So it's like, this is awesome. So we start the game and they say first, second, and fourth quarter is going to be where they do the jokes and the tricks and they kind of make fun of you. You're kind of the team that they make fun of. The third quarter is when we're going to play for real, all out for real. Give us your 5 best players. Well, for some reason, it got in my head that I did not want to be a part of the first, second, or fourth quarter. I just didn't. I didn't want to get made fun of. I didn't want them to pull my pants down. Not that they're gonna, but
Yeah.
you've watched enough
Yeah.
TV.
I know how your mind works.
Yes. And so I already told you I want to show my kids what I can do. I already know my three is dialed in, so I want to show my kids that I can sink some threes and the crowd go wild and they say, that's my mom. So the first quarter goes, the second quarter goes, and my kids are like, Mom, why are you not playing? Why aren't you would have to get out there? I'm like, I'll just see how it goes. Meanwhile, I have a plan. Well, the third quarter is about to start, and our team, of course, picks 5 men. One of my buddies is like 6'10". I mean,
Yeah.
of course, he's going out
Yeah.
there, and I'm standing there. Like, oh, let me in. And I'm older than all these people. I don't probably not as good as a lot of them. And I don't know why I did it, but I just was like, kind of put me in coach. And one of our guys goes, oh, this is the third quarter. It's
Yeah.
just the best 5. And I go, well, can a girl play? And you can't say no to that. Not
Yeah.
in this climate. Not
Yeah.
in this
Right.
climate. And he goes, well, I, I, I get, he didn't know what to say. And it was just, I was shooting my shot. No pun intended. I was shooting my shot. And, so my team is so gracious and we go out there. And my buddy that's 6'10", 6'11", he sits, and so I can play. And I'm like we would be in the same universe because these guys are
Yeah.
him. These 5 Harlem Wizards are 6'11" guys just like him
Right.
that can dunk and play and stuff. So we go out there, and one of their fun things to do is they switch a person. So as soon as we go out, or switch 2 people, didn't
Right.
they?
Yep.
So they switched 2 of us for 2 of them, and they had us go change jerseys. So I ended up I was on the Harlem Wizards team. So it's not like I even had to be that good.
Right.
But we run down the court, and they pass me the ball, and I go to shoot, and I pee down both legs.
Pretty close to a true story.
And I didn't pee in warm up. I don't know. And I would run to the other end and pee. And I'd come back and I'd shoot and I would pee. Any type of, I don't know if it was just the excitement of the game. There was zero bladder control. And I don't know why I just didn't wear this huge, something that would help.
Right.
But I was soaked. I was absolute soaked. And here I'm trying to impress my children and you. And there has to be pee all over the court. All I'm doing is peeing every time we go down. And I don't know what to do. And I'd asked my friend to go in, and she was like, Jess, you're on the other team. And so I go to the other side, and there's this little guy. He's like 5'1", and he's like, no, I'm not a part of this part. Like he couldn't go in,
Yeah.
I guess, because it's not part of the plan. And I'm like, I can't go out there. I just keep peeing. I don't know what's happening. And it was mortifying. And I guess that's where the shame is coming from. But I felt like I did something really brave. And every time I've thought over it, or even if I'll be having a good day, it'll grab me and it'll be like, You idiot. What were you thinking? Why did you think you were one of the best five? Why did you go out in front of all of those people and pee in front of everyone? And why didn't you just fall into line and play when everyone else played? Why did you have to act like you're the best? And it's like I thought in the moment I was doing something really brave, and it has turned it's translated into a source of
Yeah.
shame for me.
I think you've given it way too much. Number
What?
number one, because
No, not me.
you played really well. Number two, I didn't know you were peeing down both legs by watching.
Yeah, I don't think anyone did.
And I mean, you had a good time and you made a good showing. And, with your personality, you were the perfect person for them to pick
You're so
to be
sweet.
on their team. And, as far as getting your way on the court, I think you did a brave thing too. And you look just like your daughter. Your daughter looks just like you. And you were saying it a while ago.
Which one?
Liza, you said,
Really?
and said it just like her when you said that a while ago about being a brave thing.
Yeah,
So I don't understand where you're coming from, because I remember the conversation when we got in the car.
I was really upset.
Yeah, I remember the conversation when we got in the
I was
car.
really embarrassed.
And, I know you well enough to know it's one that's going to stay with you. I didn't know it was quite that, quite that normal or your everyday thing that would get a hold of you so bad. But I can believe it. But from the outside looking in, I don't think that there was a single person in the stands that would give this any weight at all.
Really?
Not one.
I really just probably wished that I could have sank a few threes,
Yeah.
and not been absolutely soaked.
Yeah.
It's just so embarrassing to pee in public. And of course, I had shorts that, if I had cotton shorts on, you'd see, but I had
Yeah.
just had some like Nike runners.
Yeah,
So
you couldn't tell.
I don't think you could tell. Ah, gosh, but
It does sound miserable though.
it was
Yeah.
absolutely miserable. And, I haven't really understood why it's been such a terrorizing set of thoughts in my mind. I'm like, gosh, that'll kind of teach you to not want to do something brave if when you try to do something brave, you struggle like this for the next year. Anytime I drive past that gym,
The thought comes in your
my
head.
heart races and I replay it. And one of the tools, because this is kind of where you and I split,
Yeah.
is you don't really struggle with your internal dialogue. And y'all know that I struggle with mine every day, every hour. And so I have to work my tools. And one of my favorite ones, because these thoughts, all they're wanting is recognition.
Right.
They don't, the more you try to fight them or quiet them or distract yourself to something else, the more it's like a child that's like, watch this, mom, watch this, mom. And the more you put them off, like later, they just get louder. And so they were saying thoughts just need a full loop. They just need to show themselves
Get
to
finished.
you. My buddy Matt calls them visitors. Thoughts are just visitors, and they just need a closed loop. And so my tool that I use is so stinking simple and silly, highly effective. And all it is that thought comes up and you say, cool, thanks. And it's just gone. It's the most insane thing. It's the most insane tool I've ever owned, but it's one of the most effective tools I've ever had. And one of my best friends, Colleen, she says, I am the sky and my feelings are the clouds, and my thoughts and feelings are the clouds. And so if you just kind of can look at them as they're just not always going to be there, but you
No.
are. You're always going to be there, but your thoughts and feelings are not going to. And I think there's a lot of times where we're like, well, there has to be some truth to them, because why would they
Sure.
be playing in our heads? But that's just not true. And so feelings are not facts. These thoughts don't have to mean anything. And I know that can be so confusing. But knowing when to take those thoughts captive and work past them has been kind of something I've been trying to work on lately.
I think too, there's times that we go through different stuff where, whatever's going on in our life, that stuff grabs you more than it normally does. And it's harder to fight than it is the previous week, or it's going to be harder to fight than it is a month from now. And that's the hard part is figuring out how to get through it when it's the worst.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it can get really bad. And just having your tools in place.
Yep. For me, it's a therapist told me, figure out whatever it is, a box or a room, and just watch it get shoved in the door. And for me, it's
I like that.
a container,
A storage container.
just opening that half door and
Shoving it in.
shoving it in, and just watching it go in that door and shut it, and it just goes away.
Really?
Once you get used to doing that.
What is the difference in shoving that? How do you know what to shove into that container and what to process? Like, what's the difference in shoving something into that container and shoving something so far down that you get too much emotion in you? Do you know
Well,
what to
I think
use?
the stuff I've shoved down for me is what's going in the container. There's nothing else. The stuff that's at the bottom is what's coming up to be pushed in the container, and it gets out and sometimes stays out longer than others, but it ultimately that's what it is. So that is the bottom, of the barrel for me to get it put in there. And
Because you don't think it's stuff that's accurate. It's not something you need to deal with. It's just this air.
yeah, and it's just
stuff
certain
we're
things,
talking about.
just whatever there is,
Yeah.
something,
Like, what's an example?
just
I told you about peeing down both legs,
yeah.
so I feel like
Well,
you could.
mine's probably a little more, a little different than peeing down your leg. Mine is still goes back to something we've discussed many times.
What?
It's just getting divorced still, and that the way we grew up, and
Yeah.
never, have nobody in our family ever been divorced, ever really understood divorce. And
What does that look like for you?
mine really is, it wasn't so much just a divorce. It's being divorced, and the time I lost with my kids is really what comes back and
Really?
kind of chews on me at times, that I have to just push it in there. And I mean, I've dealt with it and I know what it is, but you know how it is when you got things we've been going through lately, when you got kids that are not showing up as much as they did, and you look back at that time and you look back at their age and all that, and it kind of gets on you a little bit.
Yeah.
And you just have to fight it off. I mean, for me, it's just getting it back in there, because I know that it's just a feeling in that moment.
It's not true.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and you're putting, just like, in that basketball game, you put too much, and you thought out of the 500 people in that gym that night, that 490, were watching you pee and not make threes or whatever. When in reality, they were all watching different people and watching. Yeah. And so, and it's the same thing as this. I have made up my mind that, hey, they're not coming because I wasn't there. And you're just like, that's not true.
Yeah.
And you just have to move on from it. It's just that day.
Yeah.
So,
gosh, babe, thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
I was telling Jay and I, we got into a cycle for several years, the kind of the majority of our marriage, which is what our other podcast is about, but we would argue once a month.
Yep.
And I remember calling my girlfriend Jen and just venting, like, he did this and he said this and I can't get past this. And his therapist told him something, and she's like, wait. She was like, his what? And I was like, his therapist. And she's like, your man's in therapy? And I said, yeah. And she said, that's all. That's the whole conversation.
Yeah.
Like, whatever you're dealing with, none of our men are in therapy.
No.
And if your man is in therapy, that's enough. You have to find more grace for him. And she knew what we were talking about. So, of course, there's things that you need to talk about, even if your man's in therapy, but not what I was talking about. And
Right.
I just thought it was so beautiful how she kind of she helped me find my place. She didn't put me in my place. She helped me find my place. And there's been a lot of times that I've used that with you,
Right.
with different things that we've run into, struggles that we've run into. I've
Yeah.
just thought, okay, I don't think he meant to say that. And meanwhile, he's going to therapy so that he can be a better dad and a better husband to me and a better man.
Yep.
And so we're just gonna, like you say, get by
Yep.
it. So I do in front of everyone and want to tell you thank you for doing that because, like she said, our men are not in
Yeah.
therapy. And it's nice for me to be able to say that my man is. So,
Well, just like I said, never think about getting divorced when you didn't grow up around it. I sure never thought that I would
yeah.
go to therapy or be in therapy, but for the life we've lived and the things that we've gone through and what I do for a living,
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing.
Right.
So
Oh, I think it's a wonderful thing. And you have a really wonderful counselor.
yeah,
Yeah. I was telling one of the girls was saying, when your kids kind of rehash something that you did wrong or the way you drop the ball and they think it's funny, but it's kind of hurtful,
yeah,
to hear it. So you have to be real emotionally whole to be able to hear them mock your earlier parenting. And so I told Lily, I said I was sorry and I'll pay for your counseling. And
yeah,
she said, she was in the pool and she goes, you do pay for my counseling. I was
yeah,
like, done. I'm
yeah.
ahead of things already.
Nailed that one anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. But so, honey, it is Friday night, and I want to have this awesome night with you.
Okay.
We are watching Four Seasons right now with Steve Carell and Will Forte. Cash and he loves Steve Carell because of The Office, and we love Will Forte because Cash and I's last show was Last Man on Earth. And so I would love to wrap up our episode with how I finish all of my episodes with my guests and get on with the rest of our Friday night together, enjoying each other. And I really appreciate you coming on here and eating your steak as fast as you could to do this. But the way that I like to finish each episode is because I like to write our minds in looking for the good and the connection in this life. And I think that that is something that can be so healing, either, at least for me, is relationships and connection. And so my question for you, my honey love, is what is a way that you felt connection this week that kind of took you by surprise and you noted it?
Yeah. This whole last 10 days, I mean, we've spent a lot of time together and, around family and stuff, but we spent a lot of time together and I think it was really good for us because we were pretty well connected
Yeah.
the whole time. But something that really caught me off guard is being in an airport. We flew out of Durango and our flight got delayed several times. And we got there at 2:00 for a 4:30 flight, and we got delayed till 8:30.
Yeah.
And just being in an airport, a small airport with very few people, and being there with you, and watching you do your thing, stuff that you're working on, and then being with me, just knowing how connected that we were to be able to, for you to do your thing and be happy, and me be able to watch you and be happy for you, and vice versa. You allow me to read and not paying attention, but just knowing that we're close enough to be able to spend 6.5 hours just sitting beside each other in an airport and, doing what we wanted, stopping, talking or whatever. And it is really kind of hit home the end of that whole week that we spent together,
Yeah.
kind of what level it, has gotten to.
Yeah. I really like that. I was filming TikToks, is what he was
Yeah.
meaning. I was
Yeah.
trying to film some content because we were kind of out of pocket for like 8 days. And so if we were going to sit somewhere for several hours, I thought, why don't I just film
Yeah.
some answers to comments and tried to film some stretching and stuff. It was just harder in the airport because they would come over the intercom. It was just loud.
Right.
But yeah, I'm really glad that you noticed that because one of our friends found out that we had been there from 2 to 8:30, and they were like, "Oh my God, was that miserable?" And I was like, "I don't know. We just had the night. We
Yeah.
had the nicest
It's
time."
just odd because for me, it's, when you get past 5 o'clock on a Friday, the phone's not ringing,
Yeah,
and it was just peaceful to me
yeah.
just to be in there. There wasn't a lot of people where we were sitting. There was nobody on that side of the airport,
No.
and you have really no responsibility,
Hmm.
you know. And it was just fun to be together
Yeah.
and be able to, to watch you and just be there beside you and,
Uh-huh.
just
I
live
walked
life.
I walked my mini track laps
You
and
did.
tried to act like I didn't care that everyone was watching me try to get my steps in this little tiny airport.
Yeah.
But I did care. I did. I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed.
And if you would have been lunging from one end to the other, I might have been embarrassed too.
But it's just such a short
Yeah.
corridor, so I kind of was just like making little tiny loops.
Yeah. I think that helped the whole situation being what a small airport it is, no
Yeah,
lack of people.
yeah. I don't know if we were in DFW, I could have gotten 3 miles
Yeah.
in. So
Too many people there though.
yeah, I know. You're right. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what everybody thought it was so miserable. I was like, miserable. And I was like, no, it honestly was fine because we had our entire section. It wasn't like we were stuck on a plane or stuck next to
Right.
somebody. We had our entire,
Well, and that's kind of my point. Like there,
yeah,
there was no people watching involved because there was no people where we were at. It was just me and you,
yeah,
basically sitting there together
yeah.
for 6.5 hours. So just us.
Well, I love that, honey. That makes me feel really special. And I will tell you, I took the kid, I think I told y'all, I took the kids to my mom and dad's in Colorado for a week. Right when we got back, I went to a girls' trip in Nashville, and you and I don't spend much time apart.
Right.
We kind of looked for each other our whole lives, and so our creed was catching up on lost times and not really separating. We don't need to
Right.
separate. We were separated our whole lives,
Yeah.
and now we're together, and that's how it's going to be. And so we don't really spend the night away from each other. Jay doesn't sleep when I'm not with him. I sleep lovely and like a starfish because we have a king bed, and he sleeps with his nose just inches from my face. There's so much room. I took your picture the other night,
You
and
did. I
yeah,
can't imagine you
I
doing
was
that.
hoping the flash wouldn't wake you up, but there was so much room on the other side of you.
Yeah.
You would not believe.
Yeah. Keep that spot cool so I can roll over on it.
And so, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so we had separated so much in March and the end of March.
Yeah. Last part of February, all of March.
Yeah. And so when I got back at the end of March, I said, never again. No more in 2025 will I leave you. I promise I won't.
Yeah.
And we came upstairs here in our loft, and this is where we watch our shows. It's where our couch and stuff is. And we took the back cushions off of our couch to where both of us could fit on it. And you laid down, and I laid on the side of you to where like the front of me was touching the side of you. And it was almost like something was flowing. Like it was like the most decompression I have felt in so long. And my initial thought was, he is so screwed. Because if I can figure out how to put my body on him and feel that release and the quiet of thoughts and just the absolute decompression,
No.
then you're not really going to be able to ever sit alone ever again.
I think we got it done in the airport without laying on each other. So
Yeah, we're
yeah.
pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I had asked you earlier to think on that
Yeah.
question for tonight.
I got it. I got the answer in about 2 minutes.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Well, I love your answer. It
Yep.
makes me feel really special. I like to hear when you're as obsessed with me as I am of you. Mine that I thought on was Kashi. We have a son named Cash, and he's 12. And our kids, for some reason, don't do sleepovers or go to sleepovers. I never did not go to. I mean, I was 100% of my weekends as a child, middle schooler, and high schooler. I was 100% at someone's house or someone was at ours. And I don't know if it's a difference in time, but my kids don't do
Yep.
that. We don't have kids over here, and we try to make our house so fun, and kids don't come here.
Yeah, we thought we would have a lot of kids.
We did.
Yeah.
And our kids don't go away. Our kids are here. And we don't know if it's they're not wanting to entertain. They just want to sit on their phones. We don't know what it is.
Right.
But I had been asking my son because our 4 older kids have each other. They're all the same age, but our son doesn't have someone. So that's what's been really sad to me. What's kind of gotten me is the 7 of us used to play basketball and eat dinner and play music, and then we'd move on to a different sport. And it was just always the 7 of us. And with your children, once the bigger ones leave, it's like the little ones, it just gets quiet and they don't get to have that same experience. It just feels like he's gotten the shaft. And so I'm so tender about him.
Sure.
He's my son. And so I keep asking him, why don't you have so-and-so over? Because he'll make note of it. Like, I don't have anybody. I don't have anyone.
Right.
And I'm like, well, you've got some great friends. Get him over here. So either way, he has 3 friends coming over on Saturday. So my connection that I felt this week that was just so sweet, and I wanted to like bottle it up, is he asked them what they want to have when they come over. And the answer was hot Cheetos and Sprite. So we went to the store and he kept doing that little skip and clap,
Yep.
that he does,
Yep.
that I would buy him a pony just to make happen. He does a little skip and a clap when he's his most excited.
Yep.
And he would do that as he would go off to find something else for his friends. And when I got here today from the flip house, he had taken some shears and gone around the woods that we've cleared the brush, and he had cut down a bunch of weeds and bushes and little tiny trees.
Yep.
And he's like, Mama made a pile. And it just felt so earnest to me that he would try to clear brush for his friend's arrival. He wants it to look nicer.
That's pretty
I
awesome.
just thought that was really
Yeah.
sweet. And then also the time. They're coming over here from 2 to 6. And I just thought, is that not the sweetest time to hang out you've ever heard?
Yeah.
And I was like, honey, they don't have to go home at 6 on a Saturday. Like, that's not really
Yeah.
like a party if you have to leave at 6.
Yeah. He's setting it
So
just in case.
I don't know who said it.
Yeah.
And that's what I told the parents because he gave me all their phone numbers, which was something else sweet. I have tears in my eyes. I think it's the sweetest thing. I just think it is so sweet. And I want it to go so well. And kind of my nightmare is him finally asking people over and them not coming. And so to hear the parents go, yes, we'll be there. I'll get them there. Thank you for having them. Like, they're all coming. They're all planning it. And I asked him, what do you think y'all will do over here? What do y'all want to do? Like, you want to play pickleball? You want to play basketball? Do you need me to get something? And he's like, we're going to play Uno. And I was like, you're what? And he's like, we're going to play Uno. Because it was like the PS5 and
Yeah.
the woods and, four-wheelers and razors. And he's like, yeah, it's what our group chat is called. Our group chat is all about Uno.
Wow. Still going strong 40 years later.
I go,
Yeah.
do I need to go buy a Uno set? And he's like, no, they're bringing it. So
They got their own Uno.
yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
I like that stuff like that. Your example and my example is it doesn't cost anything
Right.
besides the price of a bag of hot
And a
Cheetos.
little Sprite.
Yeah. Yeah. I love you, babe.
I love you too.
Thank you for I know I already told you thank you, but Um, I'm sorry that you are my security blanket because I've been leaning on you more and more these past few weeks
Yeah.
with losing my grandma. And our trip that we had planned came on the heels of losing my grandma, which that was just the most beautiful trip with my siblings. And you worked your butt off to make everything just so great. And I watched you. And that's when I feel most loved by you, is when you're running around me trying to make everything awesome. And I have the best siblings, but it just, when we came home to my kids and your kids, we had to get on a plane and leave
Yeah.
again. And that's when it's the hardest.
Yeah.
So I have been kind of right up under your arm.
It's okay. I do love the job.
You do?
Yeah.
You seem like you do.
Yeah. I do love the job.
You're hired.
Thank you.
I love you so much, and we're going to have a wonderful Friday night. And I thank y'all for being here, and I'm going to see you guys in another couple of weeks. I love y'all.